Before we get started in this video, let's just have an overview of anchor points. Here's a diagram that helps illustrate how anchor points work. By setting anchor point to 0, 0, the rotation and scaling is going to come from the top left-hand corner. By setting the anchor point at 1, 1, rotation and scaling is going to occur from the bottom right-hand corner. If we set the anchor point to 0.5, 0.5, then it's going to rotate about its centre, and if we set it to 0.5, 0.9, then it's going to be at a point towards the bottom but the middle of the sprite image where the rotation and scaling occurs. Setting the anchor point can be really valuable when you have a character where you want the position of all the coordinates to occur round about their feet. In this video we're going to look at sprite sheets. Here's a particularly complicated one. The effect of sprite sheets is to combine loads and loads and loads of images onto a single image to make loading considerably faster. You can see that we'll come across this particular sprite sheet later in the course when we develop a game using this content. What we're going to do here is we're going to extend what we did in the previous video so that we've got multiple different flowers. All these flowers come from the same image, and we'll look at the image right now. That's the image, just a simple image that combines 6 different bitmaps. The one we've been using up to press is just this pink one. The images are combined together using a sprite sheet program. In a later video you'll see that you've got access to an online tool that I've developed that allows you to create sprite sheets. But for now, just download the resources for this particular video so that you can use this image. A sprite sheet involves 2 things. Not only does it involve the image itself, it also involves some data that explains to the program how to get at each individual bit of this particular image. It creates a JSON file. Here's the JSON file, and it refers to the file name where it originated from, the frame that is in the coordinate system of the combined sprite sheet. So flowers0001.ping is actually found on this particular image at x equals 1, y equals 61, and it has a width of 56 pixels and a height of 54 pixels. So if we look at our image, the one at 161 is this particular image here, the pink one we've been using all along. And each one of these refers to a different one in the combined image. The meta stores the name of the image that we are actually going to use. When this JSON file was created, it looked in a folder, found all these different images, worked out how to combine them into a single image, created this data, and then combined them as a single image, which is flowers.ping. So how are we going to use this information we've got here? Well, we have a 2-pronged approach. First of all, we have to download the JSON file and parse it. So let's look at our code. We now have a new method, loadJSON. This takes the name of the JSON file that we're loading and a callback function. The callback function has 2 parameters. Data, which in this instance is going to be the text of the JSON file, and game, which we've stored in a constant. We add a new property to game, which is sprite data, the parsed data that's been passed into this function, and then the familiar code here is to create a new image and set its source. In this instance, the source is being set directly from the JSON data that's been passed in via the meta image property, which if we refer back to the JSON we can find in this section here. Once the image is loaded, we call the init function as before. No changes to this, no changes to all this section. The changes occur when we're spawning a new sprite. Small changes to this. We create an index which is a random value from 0 to 4, and then we access the sprite data frames and the frame value of that. So this is going to find that, that, and that, but not this one, because this one is that particular property one there, which we don't want to use as one of our images. Instead of having a width and height, we now pass in the index that it's got and the frame. And remember to adjust the constructor so that the properties of the sprite are now being set to index and frame, and remove the width and height. And we now amend our render function so that we include the data from frame, because remember, frame is referring to the source, so that's all coming from the source coordinate system. And now this is the destination, which is the destination coordinate system. And we amend where we previously had width to use the frame.w, and where we previously had height to use the frame.h. Frame.w, frame.h. So they're the amends that allow us to show a section of a larger image as a single sprite. And that completes this section. So now you've learned how to use sprite sheets, you've learned about anchor points, you've learned about displaying images using Canvas. You're doing great. This video is from my Udemy course, HTML5 Game Development Beginner to Pro. To get the full course at a great discount, pull down the description.